Mindset Monday, 2020 5.2. We're going to talk about The Last Dance again this week. I watched it last night, and I had my notebook out, and I took a lot of great notes and a lot of things that I think that you guys should definitely hear. If you don't know what The Last Dance is, it's kind of Michael Jordan's last hurrah with the Bulls and the dynasty that they had to walk away from. And it's just so much good stuff there. And so I wanted to kind of share that with everybody today. This week they talked about his father and how he had passed and what his father taught him. You know, that was one of the points that I saw. His father taught him to find a good in every situation. There's always that silver lining. We talked about that last week about silver linings. But the biggest thing I want to talk to you about is his mindset. So after his first three-peat, he decides to retire. He retires on top. He retires arguably the best player in the game. He got 3 championships, which is something that, you know, anybody before him didn't get him. You know, Magic didn't get that. And it's something that he's like, all right, I've accomplished everything I've tried to accomplish. I'm done. I need to walk away from, I just need some time to you know, grieve for his father and just kind of, you know, find himself again. But he also needed new challenges. And so what did he do? You know, he becomes a baseball player. He needs to, he becomes a beginner again. He hadn't played baseball since he was 17, so a whole lifetime passed since he played baseball. And he becomes a beginner again, but he brought the same mindset that he had when he was a basketball player. He was the first person in the door. He's the last person to walk. He always worked on his weaknesses. He'd spend a lot of time, you know, in the batting cages and stuff like that. And that was something that he was known for. He would find something like, you know, first couple of games he played really well. And then after that, he kind of was getting his butt kicked by the breaking ball. So what did he do? He went to the cages and he worked on the breaking ball. And he would show up every day and he'd work. His work ethic was amazing. Wound up hitting over 200 at the end of the year and with 50 runs in, and you know, that's respectable for someone in the minor leagues. But then he decided that, you know what, he's back, and he didn't make a big deal about it. He just said, I'm back. So his first season he comes back, and he, you know, and it's fun. He's playing with the Bulls again. He's starting to find his rhythm, and it takes him a lot longer to find his rhythm because he's not in basketball shape. He's in baseball shape. And he doesn't have the endurance like he did. He kind of jumped into the middle of the season, and he gets all the way to the postseason, and then he loses to the Orlando Magic. He lost the Orlando Magic, and the trainer's like, hey, listen, man, I'm heading out tonight. I'm getting ready to go home. When do you want to start working out for next season? He says, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow, he said. That's amazing. Like he, you know what? He's as old as he was, and whatever it was, I'll see you tomorrow. Well, that summer he was videotaping Space Jam. He was taping Space Jam. He was making a movie. If you don't know the movie, go watch it. It's awesome. Bugs Bunny and Space Jam. So he would shoot all day, and then he got everybody to come back and play a basketball game with him after he was done shooting, and then he would go lift weights afterwards. So he did everything he could while keeping his commitments to getting back into basketball shape for the next year. Started the day after his season was over. That's an amazing mindset. Okay? And then the other thing I was watching is, like, on his comeback, he'd have a bad game. He'd have off games, and that was a normal thing. It was never normal for 2 bad games in a row. The next day he'd come back and he'd figure out where he needed to get better at, and he'd come back and he'd be better. And it never happened 2 games in a row. He'd always find a way to motivate himself to get ahead of the competition. He had that winning mindset. He had that mentality. He was very rough around the edges with people that weren't in that same level as he was, and he wanted to bring everybody up. But he held himself to the highest standard. And he did that, and he wanted to see everybody else around that. So he held his teammates accountable as well. But he never got down on himself for having a bad game. He had a bad game. He missed a few shots, didn't have the touch that night, whatever it was. He came back the next day, and he worked harder, and he was better. And he had that in his head, and he was not going to let that go. But yeah, just really great stuff on that. So that's where I'm at today. So bring your mindset, your championship mindset to everything you do, not just your sport. That's the first takeaway. Second takeaway is it's okay to be a beginner. You actually learn a lot more as a beginner, and being a beginner is a good thing. We should all be beginners more often in life. And the third thing is you need to always want to be better. You need to bring your A game every day. And so that's those are the top three things. Is, you know what? Actually, we'll say that A game thing. We'll also say that, you know what? If you're having an off day, that's okay. Come back the next day and be better. All right, that's it for this week's Mindset Monday. Have a great day, and I'll see you online.